Hello, one and all. I am Lex, and this is
Various Fields. I'm Hazen Fields II.
And I'm Trey. What is up, interwebs?
And guys, I want to let you know at this point, well, actually, no, not at this point. When you're watching this, we'll almost be at a year, I think, right? For
About a couple of months away.
a couple months away.
months
Oh, no,
away.
you're right, because I'm thinking too far. Anyways, but the main point of me saying that is that we've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
And we've been coming in almost every day that we plan and schedule to do this consistently.
Right.
And you know what that makes it, guys?
I don't know. What does that make it
That
like?
makes it a habit.
Oh,
That's
wow.
the
Very
Yeah,
good.
transition.
Okay,
Very
good.
That.
Excellent. I like
Wink,
that.
snap, all that jazz. Anyways, I want to
We
talk about
stuck
that.
the landing 6.5.
Yeah,
Very good.
I wanted to bring it up because I've brought this up occasionally on this show, but I have ADHD, which the main reason why I'm bringing that up is that gets in the way of, for some people, because it shows up in different things, it's considered being neurodivergent. For some people, it gets in the way of a lot of things. But the main thing it's supposed to theoretically give you some difficulty with is focus. So you can sometimes hyperfocus, which means focusing on one thing very consistently all the time, but might not be the thing that you should be focusing on. Or you can have a hard time just focusing in general. There's a lot of stuff that has to do with dopamine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that is technically, and also before I was also undiagnosed with ADHD, reason I'm bringing that up is that I've always technically had an issue with focus. I just never knew, if that makes sense. Or it's harder to recognize, and it's also harder to notice or focus on if you have an issue with focus, if you have an issue with focus.
Right.
It's kind of like taking off your glasses and then looking for them. You know, it's like I need these to help me look for the thing, but also I can see with them, but now I don't know if I can find it. It's weird.
Gotcha.
Anyways, the main reason I'm mentioning all this is that I'm going to have a lot of time off from my mainstay job soon. Yay! And I'm using that not just to take time off and relax and take a vacation and all that, but I'm trying to do what I call a lot of like maintenance things.
Okay.
One thing, go, make a dentist appointment, things like that. But things I have a hard time with is sometimes keeping up with cleaning my space, my apartment, my room. Sometimes
Same.
I have a hard time. A thing I've also had a hard time with is staying on a routine of any sort when it comes down to working out. Like I try to do a daily routine, weekly routine. I usually do it for a while, then I fall off of it. So now because I have so much time, I'm trying to make more consistent habits. But this time, instead of focusing on, because what I focus on a lot is motivation and energy. That's what I normally focus on to try to get habits. So I'm like, I'm not motivated, let me get motivated. And then energy, make sure I jump in to do it.
Right.
Now I'm trying to focus specifically on focus and discipline, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So now it's a lot more of finding myself where I'm at, whether it's emotionally, physically, being aware of oneself, and then also worrying less about how I'm getting the thing done, worrying less about what the effect of the thing is getting done, but just worrying about just doing the thing. And then setting small barriers and parameters for myself, where that's like, do this thing for 10 minutes, do this thing for 30 minutes, do this thing for 4 hours. Not for the effect, but just see how long I can do that thing I'm doing. And then lastly, it's like, if I don't make it, that's fine. If I do make it, it's fine. But just giving myself a little guideline to set to something. And all that's been, so far, it's like a momentum thing, if that makes sense. I'm slowly stepping into now forming habits. And the one I've been doing consistently so far that I'm proud of is meditation.
Okay.
Meditation is the thing that has been helping all the other habits.
Okay.
So I've been waking up and meditating from like 10 to 15 minutes in the morning. And that's really been helping because now I'm like, I'm not waking up trying to rush out of bed, feeling like I'm rushing for work. I'm not waking up being like, oh, I'm tired, but I want to go straight into the shower. I'm not waking up to do anything other than eventually get up and I'm going to meditate. And once I meditate, then I'm ready for the rest of the day. And then I'm more conscious about making breakfast in the morning, which helps for the rest of the day. Then I'm more conscious about working out. Then I'm more conscious about stepping in the shower and brushing my teeth. So that is the thing I'm talking about. That is my concentration, my focus, and the thing I'm trying to be disciplined about. So for the rest of you out there and in here, what are the habits you're trying to make?
Very good.
Before all of that, I want to
Good
say
job.
congratulations on your meditative journey.
Thank you.
I know we had a little episode about this a while ago, but
Right.
it's very important that you are saying that you're starting your morning with this
Yes.
because it kind of helps guide your mind, because meditation in itself is thought with intention.
Yes.
So if you have your day begin with intentional thought, every other thought that you do from that point and every other action you do from that point becomes almost intentional in its own right. Even if you might miss yourself in the blur of everyday life and you just go through the motions from time to time, you going back and resetting yourself and saying, oh, let me do the next thing, right? And intending, like with intent and purpose, right? You can kind of like continue on with the rest of your day with the same type of fervor, vigor, right? And saying, okay, the next thing is this, the next thing is this, the next thing is this, but without making it feel like going in automatic, without it feeling like what's it called, muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people go through life and just say like, oh, let me just work, home, sleep, work, home, sleep, work, home, sleep, all right? But if you take every single few moments and say like, oh, well, I'm going shopping for this, that, and that, right? And enjoying your moments of shopping, enjoying your moments of driving, and enjoying every part of their day becomes almost an intentional meditation to do the next task. And I enjoy that. Thank you very much.
Well, to add on to a very intentional thought, I'd like to invite all the people that are here to like, share, and subscribe to various fields. If you're finding some of the things that you like here, I believe that, yes.
And just real quick, comment your habits that you either want to make or the habits that you're proud of, and maybe a couple tips on how you got there.
Absolutely.
See, I like the fact that all of us here at various fields, we represent a great deal of society here. So there are those who are relate and can feel the same way as Lexington or myself or Trey. This episode becomes more relatable to you, and so I want Lexington to continue to drive and speak to those who are relating to this. In a very, in a way, and all of us do, because focusing yourself in the morning with meditation and intentional thought, I love that, is something that we need to do, to help us out.
He doesn't know how to drive, in case you're wondering.
Sorry. Sorry.
Metaphorically drive, son. That's okay.
It's like all after the table. It's very difficult to get anywhere.
That being said, so let's talk about the habits that you saying that you wanted to do, like other something. Yeah, how do you make it go from being a ritual to a habit,
I like that.
and then becoming a lifestyle?
You want to go for it?
Well, I do like that. It's a very interesting question, because I think in terms of a ritual, there sounds like there's work to be done with it, all right? And it is very, very much procedural, right? As a ritual, you might say, oh, at 10:45, I'm going to do A, B, and C, all right? And then you do A, and then you put yourself on a certain time for B to happen. And then you put yourself on a certain schedule or maybe a certain process for C to happen, all right? So when it becomes a ritualistic, right, you are taking step-by-step procedures. And this could still very much be a meditation to focus on these three tasks, right? But it becomes more of a habit when you don't focus on the tasks in and of themselves, right? It becomes it becomes still very much meditational, right? But less ritualistic if you don't think about it as a process, All right, like for example, when you're learning to walk, right, you're taking one step, right, and in fact, I think Santa Claus is coming to town. Actually had a wonderful song. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Has a wonderful song about it. He's like, well, how do I become a good person, right? And then Santa Claus simply says, put one foot in front of the other, da-da-da-da-da, right? And it's a beautiful song, right? But it's a very simple. Walk it out,
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, it's like do the thing one step at a time, right? And
comparing Santa Claus to Walk It Out, just the song, and walk it out, walk it out, walk it out, walk it out. It's crazy. I never had that association.
But neverther,less whether or not you have to sing the step, right? Or like literally just, whether it be walk it out, 1 foot in front of the other, or just keep swimming, right? Those meditative, I guess there's mantras, if you will, right, are become less ritualistic if you don't have to say them out loud, if you don't have to think about them too harshly, right? And it becomes this part of your process, right? To, take it as part of the day. It's like there's a fine line between like, oh, it's a task and it becomes an objective, and then as opposed to it becoming a meditative part of your day when it just becomes a habit or if it just becomes you, So they're like making the work, doing the work, and then being the work are all part of the process.
Be the
Being the work.
Right. As some people say, standing on business, right? At the same time, there's also a part of like, you have to work at every integral level to make the business a part of yourself.
10 toes down.
I like that.
10 toes down. I like that.
I like it.
Whatchamacallit? That's not mine.
No, I just like never heard of it before.
Really? It's a part. It's
No,
like
I've
10
heard
toes down, standing on business.
That
It's on TikTok.
I've heard that.
Yeah, that's all
I've
over
heard of
TikTok.
that.
If you're on TikTok, yeah.
It's a very grounded statement. I like it.
Whatchamacallit? I will say I think it's a little different for me, at least how I got to that. Because I also want to preface, going back to the ADHD thing, and there's at some point I'll do a whole like spiel to the community, people who have ADHD, because it's a process of learning and understanding what that means, because it's a variance thing and it's a whole bunch of stuff. But the main reason I'm saying that is that meditation itself was very hard for me for a long time. Like you guys have known me like all
your life.
I said it and then immediately I was like, what was this?
Who are you again?
You guys know me for a while.
I want to say your name is Ralph.
That's wild. But like I have always had a lot of energy. Even my mom, a lot of times I'll talk about even when I was a kid or as a baby, I would like just, I know a whole bunch of babies cry and all that type of stuff, but like at very specifically at times at night, I would wake up and things like that. I would feel like just a part of my life has always been a very internal energy, which is good and very cool. And it, at some points productive, especially if you apply it to work and stuff. But also sometimes it gets in the way because you can want to relax and sit down and you just get twitchy. Yeah. And then meditating is very hard because meditating from the outside looking in is sit down and be still for a couple minutes. And you're like, why?
Right.
And I will also say I'm not just now starting meditation. I'm now starting my journey with consistency of meditation. I've been meditating for a bit. And I want to put that out there because the thing that helped me a lot with meditation, because it took me a lot to just even get there, to understand it and be consistent. But I have an app for this. I should probably put it out. It's called Balance. Look it up. I'll put a little description. I'll put it in the description. The
description, okay.
But the first thing they kind of help you work on is called breath focus, which is you breathe in and out at certain rhythms, things like that. But what happens with breath focusing on that, is you can feel the breath going in, and then at some point you can feel your whole body. And then I've gotten very good at that to a certain degree, where it's become kind of part of a normal routine mantra, as you say. But going back to the habit thing, is now when I feel myself getting excited, I can kind of do a quick breath focus, and it centers me down. And that has now kind of extrapolated to when I start to get unfocused about things, I can kind of catch it now, breathe in and breathe out. Cool. And the reason why I wanted to make a difference of like the process is different for me, because the process, I don't do steps anymore. I don't do like, this is the thing. It's more like if I start with meditation into working out, and if I start with meditation into, I just cleaned my house for like 4 hours yesterday, just going.
Bravo.
And that's normally hard for me to just like stay in it. But what happened was it's not just focusing on the breath, but focusing on when I see myself kind of getting distracted and not knowing where I want to put a dish. That's what happens. I don't know where I want to put a dish. And then my brain goes, I shouldn't put this dish here. I should put it over here. But then I start looking at some place else, where that other place where I was going to put that dish. And next thing you know, that place is unclean. So then I put that dish down. I start working on that thing. But then next thing you know, I'm closer to TV. Oh, that show is on. I didn't mean to watch that. And then next thing you know, I'm not cleaning anymore. Right. And I'm like, how did I even get here? That's what happens. So the breath focus allows me to recenter myself. And then I'm no longer even focused on washing dishes. I'm focused on the water running. I'm focused on the water on my hands. And I'm focused on like the sponge hitting the cup or whatever. And I'm doing that. And then that just becomes kind of a flow state. And I think the difference being is I'm no longer trying to accomplish a task. I'm no longer even trying to clean. I'm kind of just moving. And this small, this is definitely a mantra, I guess, but the small phrase I've been doing is, inner version, I was just going to say some Nikes, just do it. But it's a version of once it's done, I can let it go. So it's like getting it done, just do it and let go of everything else. So I'm just doing the process. I don't necessarily care about how well it's done. I don't care about all the externals, about how I haven't gotten it done before, how I should have gotten it done faster. Just doing it and letting everything else go makes it so much easier. Because cleaning is easy. The process of washing your dishes now the most difficult task.
It's easy on paper.
It's easy. The harder part is organizing. The harder part is what do I want to do with it. The harder part is how long do I want to do it. The harder part is I don't want to be cleaning. I want to be having fun somewhere else. Those are the harder things. But that's all in your head. At some point, you're just like, oh, I can just. It's not that. And getting out of that state of all the other thoughts in your head has come from meditation.
Excellent.
But the main thing I do want to, I guess, kind of refocus to not, because we kind of already had a meditation episode, is that has now, the meditation has now become a habit. If that makes sense. So now the meditation, I can now, like, even when I'm unfocused or getting there, I can like breathe in, breathe out. So now when I wake up, and this is the important part, I think, of a habit. It's not just doing it consistently, not just happening, but you'll get uncomfortable if you don't. So now when I don't meditate, I'm aware I didn't meditate that day. I'm like, I had to meditate at some point. But now that I've done that and everything else starts with meditation, now that I've done my meditation, I'm good, I'm centered. I've done my push-ups today. And then now the push-ups slightly become a habit. And now so I'm working on my push-ups next. And the last thing I'll say on the spiel is I'm trying to make the push-ups a habit. I'm trying to do 100 push-ups a day, not in a row, but the idea is to segment it. So I'm trying to get to 25 push-ups in the morning, 25 around lunchtime, 25 around dinner time, and then 25 before I go to bed.
Excellent.
And then do that. And I haven't gotten there yet, but I have been doing them at the time slot. So I've been doing like a couple push-ups each time and getting there. And that's...
Excellent.
Yeah. So I'm excited to like really get into that with the time off I'm going to have.
Right.
Well, I'm going to give you this real quick.
But listen, I think that you keep on saying the word there. And there, if I had to change it to be a location, there is a
Nebraska.
actual location. And what was that?
It's in Nebraska.
There, Nebraska. If you're trying to get to there, Nebraska, if you use a GPS, you can get there. If I use a paper map, I can get there. If he uses the information from a trusted source that's been there plenty of times, he can get there by memory of that.
Impressive.
So the point I'm trying to make is all ways for you to get to there, the journey is I guess you could say inconsequential. It doesn't matter how you get there.
Yeah.
But you get there. And, you may listen to my sons, myself, give you methods of getting there. And it may work for you. It may not. It may be something a little confusing. It may be exactly what you want. But just focus that, the journey itself is important in respect that it's getting you to there. So like my son was saying, one small step, baby steps at a time, elf steps, if you will, and doing elf help. So, I'm sorry, you saw that elf help. No, fair? Anyway, but, and I like the idea of you having, doing breathing as coping mechanisms when you recognize those times where you may be, bothered by something or
I
whatever.
call them meditative practices. I think in this case, I think coping mechanisms would be something different.
Okay. All right. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
But however we get there, that's what I'm going to say, is you do it step by step.
I like that.
May I say one more thing? And this will throw it back to you guys. Something that's helpful, especially for working out, I think, in this case, but any task, something I've worked for me, and again, I'm coming from the perspective of someone who has ADHD. This works for anybody. I'm not saying ADHD makes me individually special. I just know there are in my head, there are certain challenges that I'm working on that might be different. I feel like some people have an easier time creating habits, or certain people have an easier time creating certain consistencies than I do, or other people who have ADHD do. So something that has helped me, and if you happen to have ADHD or any other thing that gets in the way of making habits, is actually intentionally doing less than you think you can. That's been the thing. So at first, baby steps is essentially the same thing. But baby steps, to me, still sounds like steps. So steps sounds like forward, ever on. And then if you have a hard time with consistency, it doesn't matter how long, like how small the steps are. I can make 100 baby steps, but eventually if I fall off 100 baby steps, I'm like, I didn't do it.
Right.
And then that stops me. But doing less than I think I could, like, I know I can do more than 10 push-ups. I know I can do more than 25 push-ups now, but that's all my effort. But what I'll do is I'm really tired in the morning, I don't want to do my push-ups, like I'll do 3. And eventually once I'm down there doing the 3, my head will be like, you can do more. And then you start pushing. And it's not even like I'm trying to convince myself. It's just like literally just do one small thing, but don't think of it as a step. Just literally do less than you think you can. Maybe do less than you think you should. At some point, your brain will be like, "Well, I got time. I can do more." And it'll kind of push you forward. That trick helped me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
No, I like all of that because, like, even with, like, you calling this a ritual, calling this a meditation, calling this a due process or a habit, I like the fact because there are a lot of people out there that are trying to find time to do what they want to do. All right. And I know a lot of times the rebuttal is make time for it. And as simple as the statement itself is, right, people in themselves cannot make the time, like not in the metaphysical concept of what time might be, right? But nevertheless, it's more defined, it's better to define it as like if you have a moment when you're sitting down, like watching your favorite television show, all right? Yes, you might take a reprieve from your day, right? But also in those moments when you're saying like, hey, I did not do this, all right? Right, that can be a moment when you want to pause whatever you're watching on Paramount Plus or whatever like that, all right? And make that moment when you are doing your 10 push-ups. That's better than nothing, right? I would say it's a lot better to do any of it than none of it at all, right? Because one, doing any of it, you're not cheating yourself, but doing some of it and knowing you do more of it, you are realizing that you're only cheating yourself. And I know that sounds kind of redundant, or at least counterintuitive, but more the fact of like, in doing, like for example, like I know for a fact that I have not been drawing as much as I used to. All right, there are days when I'm at home and all I want to do is relax. All right, I look at my sketchpad, I look at my iPad, right, and I choose. I'm like, well, I make excuses for myself, and I say, oh, I'm going to. With the intention, I'm going to draw sometime tonight, all right? Whether or not I pick up that pad or not, all right, becomes a choice that I intentionally make, all right? Because even though I said in my mind, oh, I'm going to draw tonight, right, there are days when I don't. And then in those evenings, I was like, oh, well, I know for a fact that I cheated myself out of that time, you know? So if at the very least you're saying, hey, let me pick up this habit. Let me do this tonight. Let me do these 5 as opposed to these 10, right? In at least starting, you're getting somewhere, right? Again, just to quote other various sources, right? And also because we're just coming out of Halloween, and the Rock Your Horror Picture Show, one of the last few songs, I believe, his name is Curry. Steve. What's Steph Curry? Tim Curry.
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry. Yeah. Tim Curry says, "Don't dream it, be it." All right, and it can more or less relate to a lot of different things, right? But in doing the thing, you are being the thing. You are becoming the thing, right? There are a lot of people that are questioning, well, how can I be a better this, that, and the third, right? Maybe in practicing, like, I don't know, certain drills on a basketball court, you can become a better player, right? Maybe in picking up a paintbrush more often than you not, you become a better painter, right? And in doing so, in doing those practices, right, you are becoming a painter. You are becoming a player. You are becoming an actor, right? And like, it's not so much, because you are starting, you are it, right? But in the process, and in that process, you are very much on your way to becoming it, you know? And so it's closer than not.
Absolutely.
You know?
Well, this has been an engaging conversation, as I like to believe a lot of them are. And just focusing on our people that are here, being consistent, keep on doing it. We've been doing this almost coming up on a year now. And at this point, when we recorded this, we had 87 subscribers. And I promise you, we started off with 0. And we have another friend of ours in this, Paul Rudnick, who's working behind the scenes, pushing our information out there. And we thank him for that. And there are a lot of people. We're developing a family of people behind the scenes that are helping us to, move forward. Of course, we have inside Nels, who's always wonderful help. And we appreciate, what we're doing here. But it all started with the ambition to say, let's do it.
Right.
Let's try it. And by the time you're seeing this, we'll probably be in the beginning of the year. And it's the time of year where people do make resolution, determinations, where they say they're going to do certain things. And I want to always encourage you to go forward with those things that you want to do, but do not beat yourself up if you don't do exactly what you plan to do at the moment you do. Just always look at it as a goal that you can always reach.
And I'll add on to that because I'm glad that's a perfect transition to what I was going to say next is I found myself and I have found myself being hard on myself about the things I've been wanting to do for a very long time. And it gets in your head. I've been hard on myself about it should be easy to clean. I used to work in news. I was like able to be in chaos and fires and things like that, a whole bunch of stuff, but why can't I clean my room? That seems like a simple thing. And eventually get hard on yourself, and then you'll notice your body and your emotions react to those things first. Now you're no longer trying to make the habit like I should clean my room. I'm going to be bad at it. This. Then you get tense. Then there's a fear, there's anxiety, and your body reacts to those things first, and then it becomes even harder. And I'll say something that helped me out. And this was, I will say, this kind of came out of nowhere. This was I wish it was a meditative thought. It was just a thought that hit me at one point. But something that has helped me about any task, any goal you want to make a habit you're working on or trying to be consistent is you deserve to be good at that thing you're working at. And that's the biggest thing. I've been thin my whole life and trying to work on, but at some point it came to me, I deserve to look fit. I deserve to be in the physical shape I want to be. Not I need to get there. Not I want to work on it. Not that I'm trying to do it. Not that, oh man, if I really get hard work. None of that. I was just like, you know what? I deserve to be good at that thing. I deserve to work on this thing. And I think coming at a place of it is for you, reminding yourself the thing that you're working on is for you and you alone. So if it takes you forever to get there, that's fine, but you do deserve to get there.
Indeed. Indeed. All right. We're almost there. Listen, let's get one little round of one last statement. Do you have anything for us?
Time is a construct only made by man. There's no such thing aside from the present that you should really be worried about. So with that being said, right, take your own time.
That was
Take your own time to get to your goal.
Wow.
It's crazy.
What about yourself? Anything?
Space. No, I don't know.
The final frontier. Yeah. Wow.
Go for it.
What about Nels? You got something for us, man?
That was loud.
Happy New Year to you. Yeah, that was loud. Yeah. Stay consistent.
Stay consistent.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we do a whole half-hour show. He sums it up perfectly with
Nels is
stay
too
consistent.
cool.
He's the man. Give a hand clap for Nels.
Absolutely.
And listen, and we also want to give a hand clap to all of you for making this podcast grow. Remember to share, like, subscribe, comment. We want to hear from you once again. We've been thanking some of the people that have been consistent with us during the year. I guess it's okay to say Happy New Year. I guess
Yeah, right. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everybody. I know Mr. I keep saying Mr., but No Worries is a person that responds oftentimes, and we have a few people that have been responding, and we thank you, and we try our best to respond, just to let you know we appreciate you, and I love you guys. You guys are, the apple of my eyes, as you get, that, and that, and we're gonna say a good day to you all, and be consistent. Don't give up. You got this. And this is all of us from various fields to you and your family. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's.
And
We love you.
This. We love you.
Good day.
Good day.
Good evening.
Cool.